day. From the first pitch to the final out. Catch Toronto Blue Jays baseball games live right here. Don't miss a moment of Blue Jays baseball this season. Sports 1440 is proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball.
Photographers, start your cameras. Vision Credit Union's annual photo contest is back. We're asking you to show us the people, places, and moments that made you glad you chose this rural life. Maybe it's the view from your farm, a walk down Main Street, neighbors pitching in, a weekend at the rodeo, or a sunset down a back road. Share your photo to show why life in rural Alberta is a choice worth celebrating. Enter and vote at whatsyourshare.ca.
You haven't set your lineup yet, right? It's Fantasy Frenzy with Halley and Douglas on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
Just after 11 o'clock, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on Fantasy Frenzy, brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, the home of Alberta's best beef jerky. Online at wilhaukbeefjerky.com, only available in Leduc. Go pay him a visit. Tell him we said hello. Tell him we sent you. And enjoy the sweet, sweet fruits of your labor with a nice bag of Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Connor Halley, Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick with you here from the Sports 1440 studios in West Edmonton Mall. Appreciate you joining us here on the show. Hope you guys had a great weekend. The weather, pretty dang good, actually. And the weather today, very nice as well. Took the little guy out for a walk this morning. Got my my 4,000 steps in, Duke. We'll double that on our mall walk today as well. But beautiful day in the city if you're able to go out and enjoy it. And of course, and I don't know if it's going to hold off. I thought I heard some reports of rain, but if you can, great day to get out on the golf course maybe. That 6 o'clock tee time, squeeze in a quick 9 or whatever it might be. Enjoy it. Lots to get to on the show today. Of course, over the weekend, 2 major trophies handed out. The Stanley Cup to the Carolina Hurricanes, the LOB to the, New York Knicks. I was wrong. I had Spurs in 5. I should have just said Knicks in 5, and I would have got that one right. But what a weekend in sports. The World Cup continuing on. We got action on right now. Cape Verde, or Verde, I guess it depends how you want to pronounce it. Spain, scoreless at half. Spain and one of the teams people really like in this tournament. We'll see how the second half goes. They're playing out in Atlanta. Later today, you've got Belgium and Egypt. Mo Salah, let's see. 4 o'clock, Saudi Arabia and Uruguay. And then at 7 o'clock, Iran taking on New Zealand from Inglewood. SoFi Stadium, home of the Chargers. Yesterday was a really fun day. I'm loving these late starts, so I can just put the boy down and then watch a little footy. Sweden taking down Tunisia 5-1. They were just laying it on at the end for sure. Ecuador falling to Ivory Coast. That was a good one. Ivory Coast scoring in the 90th minute. Duke, sick jerseys as well. Kits, as they call it in football. Japan and the Netherlands drawing, and then Germany, Curacao. Ooh, wasn't even close. We saw some beatdowns. I don't know if there's a ball line in soccer when it comes to sports betting, but if you took Germany and Sweden on the ball line, that would have been pretty good. Brandon Douglas, good morning. How are you doing today?
Connor, good morning. I'm doing quite well. Awesome weekend. No shortage of things to keep one entertained, and that's just on the television, on the sporting front, let alone, as you said, some great weather to maybe get out and play a little golf or whatever else, walking, hiking, nature, all that jazz. So no complaints from me here on a Monday morning, which is rare. You know I'm always full of complaints.
Yeah? No, you're not. You're a pretty happy guy.
I just keep it all bottled.
Until Fed Up Friday.
Then I burst.
Then you let it all out.
Then I bust.
Riverhawks winning last night.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Flash, batting coach. I guess we will praise him today.
He's got the team on the up and up.
The bats are rolling.
After his seat had gotten very hot.
It was hot. It's cooled off, though. We say that tongue-in-cheek. We'll have some fun with the batting coach of the Edmonton Riverhawks here on this show, depending on how things go. The text line is 1-833-401-1440. You can also email us, Connor. Brandon, Josh, followed by at sports1440.ca. Our individual names, of course, not all together. Taking your text about whatever you guys want to get to. Lots to look at. The Edmonton Elks get their home stand going this weekend. Saturday, 2 o'clock. Should be beautiful, hosting the 2-0 Montreal Alouettes. Jason Moss and company returning to Edmonton. Before that, you got Hamilton and BC, Toronto, Ottawa, then Calgary, Saskatchewan. This is how it should be. Like, this is the CFL doing it right. We've got 4 games for the first time in the season. 1 Friday and then 3 on Saturday. You could probably even spread these games out a little bit more, but beggars can't be choosers. 11 to 5 o'clock. We'll take it. In case you missed it over the weekend, Saskatchewan kicking off their season with a big win over the BC Lions, winning 31-27. Montreal, as we mentioned, being 2-0. They beat the Argos 37-30 on Friday night, and saw the game on Thursday. We talked about that last week, so no need to really dive into that one. Of course, we should be looking at the Carolina Hurricanes and what they did last night to beat the Vegas Golden Knights. I heard Kevin Carey is talking about the Carolina Hurricanes as a team that could be set up to be that next dynasty. And Duke, I don't know, like, I feel like I might be not giving them the respect they deserve. They had 3 losses in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That is absolutely ridiculous. They were able to slow down Vegas, who I think fatigue played a role. I thought a lot of the Carolina Hurricanes' success could be attributed to the fact that they won games or series quickly and were able to rest in between. I think as the playoffs go on and the fatigue really sets in for those teams that are battle-tested, Carolina Hurricanes had to be feeling pretty fresh. Jordan Staal, outstanding performance in the Stanley Cup final. And the Carolina Hurricanes, their first Stanley Cup since, I won't tell you when, because you guys already know the last time they won. But really cool to see some of the guys. Taylor Hall, former first overall pick by the Edmonton Oilers, scoring the game-winning goal. The Bussy story is awesome. Jackson Blake had a good game as well in that one. And I think the Carolina Hurricanes, full of a lot of likable guys. We don't have too much hatred towards that team as of yet. Now, next year, if they come back and repeat the whole thing, we've talked about the 4. The you win a couple, people are happy for you. You win 2, the jealousy starts to set in. But they were a pretty remarkable story throughout the entirety of the season. And, in the back of our heads, I feel like it second, third, even like into the Stanley Cup final, like, when's it going to end for the Carolina Hurricanes? And they just kept it going. Duke, I don't want to say, like, if I'm going into next season, where the Carolina Hurricanes rank on my power rankings, I don't think I'd have them like top 2. Like, I just feel like there's other teams that'll bounce back and be very strong once again. That being said, though, how can you sleep on what they did in these Stanley Cup playoffs? They were dominant.
Yeah, they really were. And it's funny when you talk about, fast forward to next season, and Kevin brought this up earlier as well, how every year when you have teams kind of go chips in to win a Stanley Cup, whether it be a hired gun at the deadline or a big offseason acquisition from the year prior that then departs, and you have some cap casualties, all those factors, none of that's really on the table for Carolina here. They can essentially run back the exact same roster if they so choose. Now, maybe we'll see some difference in goaltending. They totally turn things over to Brandon Bussy and Pyotr Kochetkov and move on from Frederik Andersen, Nikishin, the Russian defenseman, rookie team, second guy on there behind the near unanimous Matthew Schaefer. He needs a new deal as an RFA, but outside of that, it's kind of just a few depth pieces at the bottom that you're saying, yeah, we could bring these back on dirt cheap or replace them with similar type guys in those roles. And when you look at just how dominant the Hurricanes were over these past couple months, there is an air of like questioning to it, like how. And yeah, Anderson was really good after his worst regular season of his career statistically. But then he goes down to injury, and you have Bussy step in and play just as he did all season long, which was tremendous. Like, this was a first place team in the Eastern Conference. I kind of struggle as to why there is or has been so much surprise around their playoff success. And I think it really stems down to the conversation Kevin and I had to end the morning show around the lack of bona fide superstar that the team possesses. And it just goes to show that sometimes, it's not all the time, but sometimes the sum of the parts can be greater than in a standalone type feature, right? And that's what this Hurricanes team really is. 4 lines, 6 defensemen, in this case, 3 goalies over the course of a season, plus other guys in and out of the lineup that really got them to this level and allowed them to have the success that they did. We know sports, pro sports is huge copycat, and it doesn't matter what league it's in. I really don't see a lot of other teams moving towards this style and having success, because every owner wants to spend as little money and have as much success as possible. But we know that's just not how they think about it. They say, how do we get better? We go buy the best players, or we acquire the best players. And that comes at cost of salary and everything. The Hurricanes have just been so smart in their assembly of this roster where there's nobody that's overpaid. Matter of fact, it's closer to say they have way more undervalued contracts than they do have overvalued ones. And it's allowed them to have just a complete team, and a complete team with buy-in behind the mantra and the vision of their head coach, who is, by the way, a Stanley Cup winning captain himself.
That was where I was going to go next, because you look at Rod Brindamore. I mean, in his coaching career, he's a career Hurricane lifer. Like, that's where he's going to be. He's had nothing but regular season success since being there. In the postseason, though, his first year there, they lose in the third round. Pretty dang good. Then they lose in the first, then the second, then the second. I wonder, after 4 seasons of that, how many managers and ownership groups would be okay with it. Because we see it now when teams think they're close, and maybe it is because they didn't have that true superstar that they got, people are like, okay, well, Rod's doing the best he can. They just got to add some more pieces. Then they lose in the third round, then the second, then the third, and then they go on to win a Stanley Cup. I think he deserves a lot of credit for the program that he built, but also giving him the time to keep it going here, knowing you have a good coach and not panicking, not freaking out, thinking, we got to make a change. We got to get over the hump. We have the right guy. We hired him for a reason. We kept him around for a reason, and he'll get us there. And this year, the patience paid off in the postseason, and just an absolute heck of a run for the Carolina Hurricanes to get the job done. Now, just because we talked about it a little bit, Duke, if you were doing power rankings going into next season, and not basing it this year, and we have to wait and see what happens in free agency, of course, little things can be moved around, but like, do you lock the Canes into that top spot, or do you say, well, dang, Colorado, fizzled out in the semi or the conference final, but I still like them, or the Florida Panthers will be back? Where do you have them in your power rankings right now?
Yeah, it is really tough to pinpoint, and it should be easier because their first place regular season team, Stanley Cup champions, waltzed really through the playoffs with just 3 losses total over 4 rounds. But yeah, I think I would have them probably number 1 in the Eastern Conference, but would I have them ahead of the likes of the Avalanche, maybe the Stars, depending on what they do here with Jason Robertson? I still can't see them letting him go. And if he's back, then I still really like what the Stars have. Minnesota, right? Last year, Quinn Hughes, what can you make happen? Can you get that number 1 centerman? Is it Dylan Larkin? Is it someone else? And then you have teams like Vegas, Edmonton, still very much in the mix as well. So there's still a few too many question marks of how things will finally shape up going into September to make a firm list that I'm comfortable with. But right here, right now, I think the Hurricanes would be my number 1 Eastern Conference team for sure. Probably not number 1 overall, though.
I think that's fair. I think, and it's crazy to think that way just with what they have, but I feel like they could be supplanted for that number 1 spot. And
out east, the team I'd be looking at as maybe a contender there is the team that I picked to go to the Cup final this year, end up losing in the first round, is the Tampa Bay Lightning. The big question mark I have there is Victor Hedman's future. Mm-hmm. And what is that going to look like? Plus their own cap juggling they're going to need to do. Future of Darren Radish, who is such a big part of their back end. He's going to get paid as a UFA. So once again, just a few too many question marks. Whereas the Hurricanes, there are no question marks.
Yeah.
Right? Like outside of the decision of whether or not you're going to bring back Freddie Anderson or not. That's really it.
Yeah, and I mean, you have an encouraging sign from Bussy, where maybe we don't need to.
Oh, and forget Bussy. Like Kochetkov had been the guy riding shotgun with Anderson the past 2 years anyway.
Yeah, and
he obviously faced some injury struggles of his own this season, but otherwise, there's a good chance he would have been the team starter when the playoffs got underway. So it's an enviable position when you're a defending champion and you can essentially just, without making any moves, turn back the exact same roster again.
Kochetkov will be interesting. He'll be
with flexibility too on your cap space, by the way.
Yeah, he'll be a UFA at the end of next season, so good year for him. Gets paid, and just guys who are signed. Let's just say through the next 3 years: Aho, Ehlers, Svechnikov, Seth Jarvis, Stankoven, Jackson Blake, Kotkaniemi, William Carrier, Keandre Miller, Slavin, Sean Walker. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And you got Bussy there for the next 3 years as well.
And
So,
you have to
at
think,
one point,
you have to think as an RFA, Nikishin probably gets into a if it's a long-term deal, I wouldn't be shocked because they're very heady about him kind of being the team's new number one guy as he continues to learn and grow behind the likes of Slavin, Walker, offensive game behind Gostisbehere. They've got themselves in a very good position. There's no doubt about it.
Now, Jordan Stahl, does he run it back? He's under contract, obviously.
Yeah, I think he's back.
Be 38 next year, I believe.
I think he's back, and then following the conclusion of his contract, I could definitely see him hanging him up, just going out while he's still got a lot of game left, assuming he can have another great season, which based on what we saw in the finals, it's hard to see him not.
How about Nick Delorier?
That's one of those guys where I look and say he clearly was valued by the team since being acquired. Look at how early he got the cup and the pass it down. And yeah, he's a veteran. He's been around. He's 35 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's back on a 1 year, $1 million deal, I would not be shocked. But also, can you just find that player anywhere?
I mean, and that to me, like if you want him back, it's the easiest contract. It just,
for sure.
It gets done easily.
And I said, I don't see a lot of debating or negotiating in that meeting. It's, hey, Nick, we'd like to have you back. Here's the offer. And he can say, absolutely. I'm pumped. Looking forward to continuing the same role on the team. Or does he say, I'd like to play a little bit more, maybe in probably my final couple seasons, maybe even get a 2-year deal with some team, and he goes out and explores the market. It's possible. Certainly possible to take that avenue. But yeah, I wouldn't see it being a very long conversation between the two sides.
Ducks legend.
Guy's killing penalties out in SoCal.
Now, before we get to break here, I do have to congratulate our Fantasy Frenzy playoff pool winner.
All right.
Nate Sorensen. Congratulations. You kind of ran away with this one, Nate. So we have a prize coming your way. I've reached out to Nate. We'll get his email and e-transfer, and then we're also going to find out which charity he would like us to make the other half of the prize will go to. So when we find that all out, we'll keep you guys posted, and we'll let you know. Just over $800. Now, some of that went to the league fee. That's going to come out on Nate's side. So it'll be $20 less, but we should be given like $400 to it, the charity of his choice. So thank you to all of you who got in on that. We appreciate it. And Nate also, pretty cool gift from Corey and crew down at Expressions and Images, the jersey frame. So I don't know who Nate's going to pick to throw in the frame, but he also won that. Expressions and Images. Corey, thank you very much. Duke would put in his Teemu Selanne jersey.
If I had one.
If he had one.
No, I would get a Laddie Schmid jersey.
Oh.
Then get it autographed, and I'd put that in.
Not your new baseball jerseys that are coming?
No, I need to wear those.
Well,
tell you what, if I get them signed, then maybe that'll be my number one priority when I'm in Toronto. Get Ernie Clement and Dalton Varsho to ink my new threads.
just hanging by the player's entrance.
Yeah, please, I love you.
Lots of text here. We'll get to those when we come back. How about 1-833-401-1440? Boys, how old were you two in 2006? Well, I was 18, and that cup run was probably one of the most fun times of my life. Duke was 7.
I was in the 5th grade.
Still fun, I'm sure.
What year? 2006. I would have just turned 11.
Yeah. It was a good time, man. I mean,
well,
we
I was
had a lot of
heartbroken.
fun.
I was heartbroken. They just beat Anaheim in the conference final.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was the Ducks' year.
You're devastated.
And then they became unmighty, and they won the next year.
Heck yeah. We'll take a break. When we come back, more text 1-833-401-1440. It's Fantasy Frenzy here on Sports 1440. YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch, brought to you by Will Hawk Beef Jerky.
I'm good to go. With Mortgages to Go, you'll be good to go. MortgagesToGo.ca says yes when the banks say no. That's why Alberta has trusted Mortgages to Go for over 23 years. If you need cash and have equity in your home, you're approved instantly, guaranteed. Call 1-888-888-5998. That's 1-888-888-5998. With Mortgages to Go, you'll say, I'm good to go.
Tee up at the 2026 Golf-a-thon presented by Popeye Supplements June 19th at Rundle Park, supporting the University Hospital Foundation. Golf all day long for $250, including a cart and food. Go tracksocialclub.com.
What a performance by Action Electrical today. Their projects team kicked things off, designing and building with unmatched skill.
Then the service team swoops in for those crucial repairs and maintenance. And don't forget the testing team.
You haven't set your lineup yet, right? It's Fantasy Frenzy with Halley. You haven't set your lineup yet, right? It's Fantasy Frenzy with Halley and Douglas on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
$11:22. Welcome back to Fantasy Frenzy here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick with you here from the Sports 1440 studios in West Edmonton Mall. Brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, the home of Alberta's best beef jerky. Online at wilhaukbeefjerky.com. Darren texting in saying, congrats to Nate as well. He pretty much led the whole way. I was the Rocket Man. Yeah, Darren finished third, and it was Daryl in second. Good pursuit, but Nate had a good team. Knew the Canes would have some success this year. The text line's 1-833-401-1440. You can always text us there. This segment brought to you by elksnation.ca. Of course, you got articles, podcasts, and more breaking down the green and gold. Plus, twice a week, Declan and Eddie, Declan Kruger, Eddie Steele, breaking down the team. So they'll do a show today. They'll have another one, I believe, on Friday, getting you ready for the weekend matchup against the Montreal Alouettes. elksnation.ca. We'll dive into the text line here. Lots coming in. Kotkaniemi was a big overpay, but other than that, good roster from Team Dean. Yeah, and that was the drama with Montreal's offer sheeted Aho, and then that's kind of a little bit of a payback move, and you got him there, so you might as well pay him. Yeah, other than that, pretty good roster construction. Greater Man Jay says Rod Brindamore put a team of workers. His team was a dependable wagon. I think they got lucky with injuries and could always upset the train, but overall, a sturdy defensive club and well deserving of the Stanley Cup. The minute the cup was handed out, I heard he was craving next year's hockey already. Greater man Jay. Yeah, 100%. Like the injury thing, that's facts. 100%. You have to stay healthy. There's so much that goes into winning a Stanley Cup, and it didn't seem like Vegas had it. They just couldn't keep up with the Carolina Hurricanes, and when your head coach is Rod Brindamore, looking the way he is, you gotta be physically ready to go to be a Carolina Hurricane, and they were. Perplexed Oilers fan says Canes deserve that cup. Great organization, great coach, good players that play for each other, good media, fans like their players. Happy to see Hall finally land in a good place that treats their players well. Yeah, 100%. I love the media there. Who do we get there? Luke DeCock. We got Corey Lavalette. Shane Willis hops on the station a lot. Chip Alexander. Good people out there. Yeah, they'll have a good time. You know what I am very curious to see, though? How the players are celebrating. Do they take shots at the Vegas Golden Knights after beating them? Because, the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers, obviously it was, high-intensity battles in 2 straight years. The Panthers went out of their way to throw a lot of shade at the Oilers afterwards. Maybe things were said they remembered. Curious to see if the Carolina Hurricanes take that route or are just happy with each other. The post-game celebration was great. Seth Jarvis and company, his crew was out there, of course. They're probably feeling it today, but probably ramping it up right now. Craig and Red Deer says, hey guys, wondering if Mikko Rantanen is kicking himself today. Yeah, well, you never know how things are going to play out, I suppose. The previous text had talked about the good organization, and, Mikko Rantanen obviously didn't have a good experience there. Otherwise, he probably would have re-signed. Good for, let's say, Nick Ehlers, maybe. He got that money since Rantanen didn't re-sign. Chomsker says, Carolina power ranking, I'd have them 3rd. Colorado at 1, a healthy Florida 2, Carolina, then Minnesota, Tampa, Dallas, Buffalo, Montreal, Anaheim, Edmonton. Chomsker's got the Oilers at 10. Kyle says, where do you guys have the teams in the Atlantic finishing? We're talking next year. Let's see here. Let me clear my throat. So you got Buffalo, Tampa, Montreal, Boston, Ottawa, Detroit, Florida, Leafs. I would probably have the Red Wings at the bottom. See what happens with Dylan Larkin. Such a good division. You had 5 playoff teams. The Leafs will be better, I would assume. The Panthers are going to be better too. I don't know, dude. That is such a tough division.
Tough division. We have talked so much about the Central Division this year, right? And how much of a gauntlet it was, and the expectations that the West representative and maybe even the Cup champion could come out of any of these 3 teams of Colorado, Dallas, or Minnesota. Then you have Utah taking a step forward and getting in. St. Louis and Nashville, they don't really miss by that much. Winnipeg, the disappointment of this season after last year's top place finish. And then, Chicago, the up-and-comer. But from a purely this season perspective, yes, the Central is maybe a little more top-heavy with the likes of Colorado, Dallas, but I think the Atlantic was better overall. But in the point totals, it's kind of tough to use those as a hard line to adjudicate that, because different opponents, who you play more, et cetera, right? So if I'm starting at the top, I think Buffalo can absolutely be the first place in the division again. I think Montreal will be there. I think Tampa Bay will be there again. I kind of think those will be the top 3 teams. Now, after that, I thought Boston really overachieved a lot this year. If they take a step backwards, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm with you. Without Dylan Larkin, barring the Red Wings getting some really, really good returns that helps them in the immediate and not maybe a little bit more down the line, I think they're probably the last place team. Toronto is so confusing because they shouldn't be that bad, but then you think about it as like, maybe they should be that bad. They're going to have a first overall pick that will improve them, because I think the expectation of, regardless who they choose, assuming it's one of Stenberg or McKenna, they will play in the NHL next year. Florida and Ottawa, then all of a sudden you're kind of 2 teams that maybe fit somewhere in the middle here. I could see Florida getting back in as a wild card club. Now, does that put them as the 4th place team in the division? Yeah, maybe. And then the Sens, I think, are kind of right there again. I'll be honest, Connor, I think the Senators are a team that might be moving on from Brady Tkachuk. And as a result, once again, what kind of return do you get for that caliber of player? Does it make you better in the way that trading Mikko Rantanen made the Hurricanes better? Or are you just losing your team's leader, one of your top players, and as a result, you take a little bit of a slide? I'll say the Senators step back. So I guess my ranking as of today would go Sabres, Habs, Lightning, Panthers, Maple Leafs, Senators, Red Wings. Is that all of them? Bruins ahead of the Red Wings, pardon me.
I am very intrigued by the Buffalo Sabres next year, Duke. Like, this was a team at the start of the year that looked bad. Then they throw in a 10-game winning streak. They had another 8-game winning streak. They won, 4 of their last 5? I don't know if I'm 100% sold on them to be the team they were down the stretch. They got really hot and played really well, but I still have them in the playoff team. It's a team that's learning how to win hockey games. Took a little longer than I hoped. Tampa, I'm intrigued by. Obviously, man, you have the coach of the year. You got the MVP. You got the Vezina winner. Can't have that slow start, but Montreal, I don't know. I could see Montreal sliding to a wild card and very close, and then the Panthers getting back into position if they're healthy. It's gonna be fun to watch. There's gonna be some really good divisional battles. 2 50-win teams in that division, 4 100-point teams. The Central, like you said, not a slouch either. They had 3 100-point teams with 2 50-win teams as well. So, yeah, certainly some good competition going into next year, and makes the offseason even more important. Suits texting into 1-833-401-1440. Gentlemen, Carolina is what a well-managed team looks like. No real holes to fill, with an abundance at almost every position. Suits. Yeah. It'd be interesting to go through and look around the NHL in terms of percentage, what each team has locked up for the next season, right? Like, we already know San Jose's blue line is going to be depleted. There's going to be work to do there, and you're probably going to re-sign a few, maybe look to make a trade perhaps. But like what the Carolina Hurricanes done for a team that just won the Stanley Cup, outstanding. Trev says, hey guys, who do you think is going to be the Seahawks starting running back? Well, I don't think it's too much of a tough discussion right now. Obviously, we have to wait and see what Zach Charbonnet is doing in his rehab. I don't know where he would be, but I think it'll be kind of 50-50. So who's going to start? Maybe Charbonnet. Maybe at the start of the year. But I think at some point there will be a little bit of a shift and Jadarian Price can kind of take over. I know Duke could probably be tough. You know, like back in the day, if you took LaDainian Tomlinson, you would have to take Michael Turner just in case. I don't know if I'd want to do it, but I might want both Seahawks running backs if I get one and the other one slides. But that's if I'm locked into taking one of them. I probably stay away from Seahawks running backs this year, unless I get Charbonnet super late, because we know in the red zone they like him. Who do you have at RB1 there? He or Jadarian Price? And that being said, we haven't even got to mini camp yet.
Exactly. We're still a long ways out and lots to be decided from in-camp competition. But I think, at least to start, assuming he is healthy and ready to go, that Charbonnet will get the benefit of the doubt to begin the season as the veteran guy. It's pretty rare that we see rookie running backs, really regardless of where they're drafted, come in and immediately take full-time RB1 reps. Now, with that being said, I think even off the get-go, as long as he can show an understanding of the system and, in the NFL, you got to do a lot more than maybe you would normally on a down-to-down basis in college, just from a blocking and scheme perspective. As long as he can grasp that, then I expect Price to get touches pretty much right off the hop. Like the Seahawks have shown that they like this 2-back system, and they weren't willing to shell out the coin to keep Kenneth Walker in the fold. They say, we like what Charbonnet does. We'll complement it with some stuff out of the draft. And by how many weeks does Price take over the assumed number 1 job, and then Charbonnet is just coming in and stealing touchdowns as he did from Kenneth Walker? I think time will obviously tell us, but I could see it being handful of weeks into the season as he gets more comfortable at the NFL level. So yeah, I think Charbonnet will start with number 1 reps if he's healthy and ready to go, but then it'll be a pretty split workload moving forward once both guys are fully, sat in and ready to rock.
Yeah, modern medicine's fantastic, but he had the surgery on February 20th. So that,
and what was the injury again? Sorry, apologies. You
ACL.
just said that's what I thought. Yeah.
So it's 8 to 12 month timeline. You put 8 months. Well, that takes you right to the start of the season. So I would think if you drafted Charbonnet, he might be that guy with the strategy. You draft him, you don't draft a kicker. You throw him on the IR, and then you pick a kicker up on waivers and stash him for maybe later on. But geez, could be midseason. And I think, if Price has some success too, that makes the return even less drastic. So maybe it takes him a little more time to come back and then make sure he's good to go. But yeah, I probably avoid Seahawks running backs. Me personally.
I think you just get better value elsewhere, especially if you're looking for like legitimate running back 1, 2 for your fantasy teams. The as you said, those two guys, both Charbonnet or Price, are kind of complementary. Stash them on the bench and hope that they can pop off. Then you're just looking like a genius a handful of weeks into the year.
Titan text in. This is going back to the 2006 season. I just got back to Edmonton from a year in Korea during the Oilers Red Wings 06 final game of the series. That really kicked off one of the most fun times in my life for an Oil playoff run. What a time. It was, yeah. I mean, just kind of social media wasn't going to become a really big factor. Just kids being dumb. Crushing beer. Oh, Darren said I finished 18th. Well, another Darren finished 3rd. Rocket Man finished 18th. Better than me. I was like 24th. Matt Leduc says, Edmonton versus Carolina. One team makes you want to resign. The other makes you want to resign. Yeah, that dash coming in big. Stan says, Canes media are not critical on their players. That helps. They don't push so much pressure on them. Less negativity. That helps. How are their fans? Are they as toxic as some Oilers fans can be? Or is that just media, Stanley? It's both sides. It's both sides. That being said, on the flip side, you win in Edmonton, you'll be a legend. I could tell you, I bet that that won't be the case for the Carolina Hurricanes. You walk down the street there, they won't be known. You win in Edmonton, you'll never buy a beer here in the rest of your life. And I think there's some criticism, not to the extent of Edmonton or Toronto or Montreal for sure. But I think there's still some negativity when it happens. There's not a whole lot to be negative around that team this year. Gord Oil says, would Dylan Larkin for Brady Tkachuk make sense? I say no because I don't think Dylan Larkin will approve a trade to go to the Ottawa Senators. He gave his list. It was 3 pretty good teams. If you believe in a guy wanting to stay in the United States, then I would say no. Who would you take on your team, Duke? Who would you rather have, Larkin or Tkachuk?
This is probably unpopular, but I would actually say Dylan Larkin. I get why people really like Brady Tkachuk. I'm not quite as enamored with his total skill set. He does a lot of things really well. So does Dylan Larkin. But yeah, I don't know. I think when people talk about Tkachuk as like one of the true, like he's not the best player on his team. I think that's like forward. I think it's Tim Stützle. That even on the back end, guys like Jake Sanderson have proved more valuable to what they do. He can do a lot like physicality, emotional, gets a lot of credit for his leadership. It's just, for me, it's a personal thing that I like Dylan Larkin, the player, more than I do Brady Tkachuk.
Good texture from Alan saying, okay, guys, the Canes just showed you don't need a hockey guy to win. Tulsky was a scientist that never played the sport. Tulsky, we had him on with Gregor, a couple of years ago, and his story is pretty incredible. Like, he started writing for Broad Street Hockey for the Flyers in 2011. And then obviously the analytics that he did, started working for other teams and worked his way up. But I mean, that's not uncommon. I mean, look at the staff that he has working with him. MC79, you guys remember him? Or no.
Say it again.
MC79 Hockey.
Okay.
It's Tyler Dello, I believe. I think that was his old handle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that's what it was. Dennis King.
So, yes.
Now a pro scout with Canes. Yeah, he remembers his guys, taking care of them. I joked, like, when those names were being listed off, I was like, that's an episode of The Lowdown with High Noon. Way back in the day, kids, let me take you down history line, a little story. When Low Tide got back into radio after some time off on air, he started a show called Oilers Nation Radio on 1260. That changed, but we wanted to keep it going. So then he started a show called The Lowdown at High Noon, which at the time it had a social media account that had more followers than I did. And those were the guests that were on it. MC79 Hockey, Dennis King. Heck, Matt Fenwick was on it. Father of Josh.
Shout out.
Yeah. And now all these guys are going on to win Stanley Cups in analytics. If you could find those old podcasts, I bet they'd be very interesting because they were fun shows. It was right in the middle of the Oilers' decade of darkness, so people didn't want to hear it. But it's working out pretty good. A lot of them now are helping to run or contributing to NHL franchises. It's very cool. We'll take a quick break here. When we come back, more text 1-833-401-1440. It's Fantasy Frenzy, brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Experience in June, spring, summer, and construction season. And while roads may be narrowed and detours are everywhere, GS construction crews are on site every day doing the work because the city doesn't stop, and neither do we. As we build and upgrade infrastructure, life continues around us. That's why we never lose sight of what matters most, making sure everyone, including our team, returns home safely at the end of the day. For more on what we do, visit gsconstruction.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Hot coffee, hotter takes, and the sports stories that matter. Check out Kevin Carrions weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440. Be part of the conversation. 833-401-1440.
Fuel prices got you down? Subaru's here to pick you up. Subaru's electric and hybrid vehicles will save the day, helping you go further for less. Prefer a gas vehicle? Subaru, Crosstrek, and Impreza are built to keep costs low without sacrificing capability. Crosstrek was named 2025 Auto Trader Best Subcompact SUV, and Impreza has earned top safety pick recognition for 17 years running. Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to Subaru. Visit Subaru.ca.
For over 60 years, the folks at Diablo Boots have been selling the best Canadian-made boots. Handcrafted in Winnipeg, Canada West makes the best quality cowboy, biker, and work boots for Diablo Boots with replaceable soles and heels. Why buy cheaper quality like Ariat, Justin, and Red Wing made in China when Canadian-made is better? Support Canada's workers and Diablo Boots for the best boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the two best names in the boots business.
Who should start? Who needs to hit the bench? Find out with Fantasy Frenzy with Halley and Douglas. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
Welcome back. It's Fantasy Frenzy here on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, the home of Alberta's best beef jerky, online at wilhaukbeefjerky.com. Text line 1-833-401-1440. Thank you guys for joining us on the show today. We appreciate it as always. If you missed an episode, you can go check it out on podcasts, wherever you get them from. YouTube at Sports 1440 AM. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and like our videos. Would be appreciated. Coming up next on Sports 1440, you got the Lowdown with Lowtide from noon to 2. We'll have Jason Greger hopping on. Then from 2 to 6, it is the Jason Greger Show. Today, we'll be joined by Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine. We'll also have Mike Wilner, talk some Blue Jays. Stats of the day. Garrett Hatfield from the Edmonton Hospital Foundation will join us. Spec, Cam Tate, and more. 1-833-401-1440. Make sure you get those texts in as soon as possible. They're rolling in. Walter says Jadarian Price will be week 1. Guy Charbonnet won't be ready. Yeah, 7-month turnaround for the ACL, awfully short. Yeah, from online says 8 to 12. So
I was told 6 to 9.
Oh, really?
Back in my own experiences. Now, keep in mind, I'm not an NFL running back.
I thought you would be 6'7".
Because I'm mid?
No, because you're an elite athlete.
Oh.
You'll be back sooner than anyone would expect you to be.
I'm trying to think. I was on the ice at about 1 month post-op, but that was just for the U18 team I'd been coaching that winter. They had their season wind-up, and I was the only coach that could go. So I was just out there kind of floating around. I had my brace on and everything. Then I absolutely steamrolled one of the little kids. I mean, he was 16 years old, but he was quite small. He was actually normally the goalie who's playing out for the year-end little fun scrimmage we did.
Kind of setting the tone up.
Well, yeah, he was like, "Oh, I didn't want to run over you because you're hurt." I'm like, "Brother, if you can ever run me over, I got bigger problems." Shout out Flath. Nice kid.
I'm the grave digger.
I'm the grave digger.
Let's get some texts here. Someone had earlier texted in about a Marchand for Larkin deal. Big Rig agrees with you, Duke. He says Brady is less skilled. Marchand. Sorry, did I say Marchand?
Yes.
Larkin for Kachuk. That was the trade proposal. Big Rig says Brady's a less skilled Marchand with more baggage and attitude. Would take Larkin as well. I mean, I would take both these guys.
Well,
yeah. If you're in a situation where you have to move on, but I just don't think that Dylan Larkin would have them on his list of trades clubs he'd be willing to go to.
Well, we already know it's not.
I mean, yeah,
he's big 3.
Can you expand that list?
And then Stevie Y's like, "Hey, man, and it's funny, Connor. We talked about that last week, right when this news kind of had fully made its way to the forefront, and the 3 teams that we knew were out there. And you and I discussed saying Stevie Y probably goes to him and say, "Hey, man, we'd really appreciate if you'd give us a few more options so we can try and get the best return possible, not completely reset the franchise." And Larkin essentially said, "Kick rocks."
You know what my response would have been?
See you in training camp.
Yeah, see you at training camp, buddy.
Which another thing that we discussed last week on the same topic, saying, yeah, teams can flex that side of their power. That's really the card they have to play. What does that do for your team in training camp? And should it stretch into the start of the season? I don't think it makes for exactly Carolina Hurricanes-esque tight-knit group when you're, captain. Would he still be wearing the C at that time? I have a hard time seeing it, but your best player, your leader, all these things, he's there essentially against his own will. I don't think that bodes for much success for the Red Wings, who, by the way, even with Larkin, are a very flawed team.
Does Steve Yzerman have the time to do that even?
To flex his muscles and say, show up to camp?
Can he try to outweight his captain? And,
I can't see it going that way.
Because I don't think they'll fire him, but they might promote him.
Yeah, it'll be, "Hey, Stevie, how would you like to be a official senior advisor?" And you'll still be pretty handsomely compensated, but we can't fire you because you're a franchise icon. We know you want to see this through, but someone else has to take the reins here.
Yeah.
I said that earlier this year. I said if he was anyone other than Steve Yzerman, or insert another Red Wings legend here of that era, Nick Lidstrom, Sergei Fedorov, Datsuk Zetterberg, if your name wasn't one of those, he would be fired already. He would be. The turnaround has been too slow.
I'm with you. He's the name value is so much, and he's such an icon in that franchise, in that city. But if the resume speaks, like, you have to make the change.
And that's always the risk teams run when you bring back franchise favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's different when Steve Yzerman was the Tampa Bay or the GM in Tampa Bay, right? We know he's a Hall of Famer, but he has no connection to the organization.
Yeah.
So, and he left there of his own accord to take the Detroit job, right? Turned out pretty well for Tampa. I mean, they got everything good that Yzerman did building it, and then Brisebois has done just a masterful job of filling in the edges. So, fast forward to that to, I don't know who's like the rumors that Joe Pavelski is interviewing for the head coaching job in Toronto. That is like, okay, I don't really know. He doesn't have any experience, but that seemingly isn't a qualifier anymore, as opposed to the Sharks hiring Joe Pavelski to be the next head coach with zero experience. It's like, man, you know that you're going to have to fire this guy. Does it tarnish his legacy in the team as a result if he doesn't have any success?
Yeah.
It's a tough choice for teams to make because sometimes those franchise legends are the best fit for the job.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and like, not his own franchise, but having Martin St. Louis, what he's been able to do, like,
for sure.
That's, if it works out that way, it's great. But yeah, it's tough. And you know, it will tarnish the legacy because fans will turn on Yzerman at some point here. Maybe they already have. Trainer Mark just wants me to pass this along. Looking for 5-ish more people for the Edmonton Scott Fishbowl League fantasy football. You can reach him at info@ironfit.ca if you want to get in on that.
There you go.
Another league.
Anybody looking to get in the mix?
Lehan says, I started listening to 1440 because in 2010, my boss would always listen to 1260. Then I found myself listening to it. Now I'm the boss who makes everyone listen to 1440. Well, everyone out at Lance's at a job site, shop, shout out. Keep up the good work. Oddball says, what Canadian team would keep a head coach and GM 12 years to get over the hump? None.
Well, what teams kept the GM 12 years?
Well,
I mean, Carolina hasn't technically fired a general manager, and I guess might be close to 12 years because Don Waddell, his contract was up, and then they just didn't re-sign him.
Yeah,
right. Am I misremembering that? And even keep in mind when Don Waddell got hired in Carolina, it was a laughing stock of the league because Ron Francis had left.
They never made the playoffs in his, 5 years?
With Francis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. And so then he leaves. Talk about franchise icon. He leaves. And then Carolina's like, nobody wants to work here because Tom Dundon has his reputation of being incredibly cheap and not giving management the resources necessary to field a competitive team. So like, hey, Don Waddell, what are you up to? Yeah, I'd love to come do it. Most notably, I think for most people, GM of the Atlanta Thrashers. Tons of success there. And he does a great job building out this team around, once again, a core group of players that was still kind of there. Forgive me if I'm getting some years crossed over, but the likes of Slavin, Aho, Svechnikov would have maybe been just drafted around that time. And then you said it was 18-19 season when Brindamore takes over. Yeah, that's 8 years ago.
Yeah. That to me, like, that's why I brought it up because, like, not many GMs would have that patience with a head coach, despite always being good. Like, they want to get over the hump, so they would probably try to make changes. And they're kind of a sneaky, like, very good franchise. You know, with Jim Rutherford over a 20-year span, 1 cup, another appearance, obviously dropped off in the Francis era. Waddell got them 3 division titles in 7 seasons, I believe, 6 playoff appearances. Tulsky takes over. Kind of remind me of like the Seahawks. Maybe not like the franchise that we look back like, oh, a pillar of the NFL or the NHL, but pretty good run.
Can't argue with the results.
Yeah.
And then you get, and it's funny because everything's measured in success, and the ultimate success is, of course, championships. Well, it is really tough to win back-to-back or 2 and 3 years or 3 and 5 years, whatever, right? Like this modern definition of what constitutes a dynasty. And it's seemingly harder and harder to come by because the parity is so good. Any championship classifies as a monumental success for everyone involved, from the owner to the GM to the coach and all their staff, and then plus every player. Like we had a text earlier, Connor, that said Do you think that any of these Hurricanes players almost treat this as like not a full championship because they didn't have to beat the Panthers? It's like, no chance. Do you think they give a lick about who they beat?
Their mindset's probably like, we would have stomped the Panthers.
I sent a reply back. I think it might have been Dallas earlier, and I'm not trying to like cast down what Dallas is saying. Should they play each other again in the future? I'm sure the Hurricanes look and say, all right, this is our chance to get one back off these guys because they beat them in the conference finals twice the last 3 years. But there's no way that they are hinging this year's accomplishment on it was like they don't take it at full face value because they didn't play that team. Like, you play who you play.
Yeah, 100%. That's whether it's the toughest or the easiest path. You win the cup, you don't care. That's going to do it for us. Hey, text Elks to 1-833-441-1440. You'll be after to win tickets to the home opener over the weekend. Right now, sports 1440 update before we pass things over to Low Tide, brought to you by Cattail Crossing. It's Doggy Monday. You can bring your dog golfing. Must be leashed and are allowed on the patio any day. Book now at cattailcrossing.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
World Cup action back at it today, south of the border. Spain and Cabo Verde at it, currently scoreless in the second half from Atlanta. At 1 o'clock, Belgium will play Egypt in Seattle. 4 o'clock kickoff time between Uruguay and Saudi Arabia from Miami. And in the nightcap from SoCal, Iran up against New Zealand. Kickoff there scheduled for 7. In the majors today, just 10 games total, including the Phillies taking on the Marlins. Mets are in Cincinnati. Padres play the Cardinals. Rockies visit the Cubbies at Wrigley Field. Tigers up against the Astros. And the Dodgers host the Rays in the nightcap. From the NBA offseason, Chicago Bulls finalizing the hiring of Trailblazers interim coach Tiago Splitter to take over behind the bench. Splitter expected to succeed Billy Donovan, who parted ways mutually with the Bulls at the end of this past season. Coming up on Sports 1440, it is the Lowdown with Low Tide. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
With Play Alberta, backing the home team goes beyond the bets. That's because your picks have provincial impact. Play Alberta is the only app in the province that puts all revenue directly back into supporting programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. By investing in the General Revenue Fund, every play, bet, and buy made on Play Alberta helps make a difference across the province. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Attention Alberta construction pros. For over 50 years, Japa Equipment Rentals has been your go-to for top-notch equipment and stellar service. Whether you need rentals or expert maintenance, we've got you covered. Stop by our Edmonton or Calgary locations today.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. This deal's only good till 6 o'clock tonight. We need your credit card to hold the color. Hold the color. Summer package. Winter package. And the ever-famous re-PDI fee. I gotta pay you to rebuild the car? Does this sound familiar? At Northgate, we do things differently. We offer 0% financing, a great selection of new, pre-owned vehicles. So if you'd like to do business,